Hi everyone, can you hear me? Please say yes in the chat. Perfect. Okay, first of all, sorry, I was stuck in the traffic. It's a crazy traffic in New York, uh, and I have a class afterwards. So Dr. Hamad told me that you are the MSCS students. So this talk I will share the slides later on, and I think the YouTube also record the stream. You can come back and watch the streams. So today's topic is predicting health outcomes using machine learning to foster safety, quality, and value in clinical care. Before I will go to the topic, I will introduce myself before because I just received messages from Dr. Ahmad on Facebook that he didn't get a chance because it's a stream, and I'm actually doing first time here. So I mean, I was also not sure that how he would able to introduce me. So my name is Ahmed Bukhari. I am faculty and also director of healthcare informatics at St. John University. My background is I did my PhD in computer science from University of New Brunswick, Canada, and I did my postdocs from Yale University and Stanford University. I spent 5.5 years there. Then I moved on to NIH and worked on at the NCBI. And then in 2019, I joined this university. And we have here the program, BS program and master level programs with the healthcare informatics, and we are affiliated with the NYPQ Presbyterian, New York Presbyterian Queens, and also we are affiliated with our Northwell Health hospitals. So they are kind of we will get more of our data are kind of the input from those hospitals. Um we are working on in the lab, we are working on several topics, and the reason why I have selected these topics because you guys are probably taking the research methods and machine learning at the same time, and these basically the topics will give you some idea that what sort of research is going on, like cutting edge research is going on in the healthcare informatics sector. And both of the projects that we have completed actually 2.5 years ago, and we are working on the follow-ups. I will let you know that where we are at this stage, and at the end I will also announce that we the opportunities for you guys that we are looking for the researchers and also looking for the developers for internship. So let's start with the topic, and to understand what the health outcome is. So in health outcomes, uh, basically we measure the link between treatment delivered and the actual outcome achieved. What this mean? For example, if you go to a hospitals for a knee surgery, and they treated you, and what would be the outcome of that, right? So with the outcome study, it help us to understand uh, the improvement, like where were the improvement needed. Like for example, if in the surgery process, do we need any kind of improvement to overall give the better care to the patient? Do we need any variation in our approach? And also to know that what works best, what would be the if we go like personalized medicine, if we take the personalized medicine case, like what would be the work would best, or what would be the best way of the treatment. For example, like the knowing that the plasma therapy for the COVID would work or not, because it wouldn't work for all the patient. We looked at like from last 2 years, but and how and what sort of patients, and what could be the demographic background of the patients if we use this certain kind of intervention that would be best help for that patients. And also overall, if we look at the goal of measuring and analyzing and comparing the healthcare outcome, has a manifold aims and goals. So I have listed few. For example, it helps to understand the or helps to improve the patient experience, and that would lead to a patient satisfaction overall. And then it also help us improve the patient experience of care, and it also help us to improve the per capita cost of the healthcare. Let me fix the OBS. I think you guys are not seeing the complete slides. Just bear with me. I think it's gonna be okay in a minute. Yeah, I think now you will able to see the slides. Yes, perfect. So patient satisfaction, better care, and lower cost of the healthcare are few aims, are few objectives that we would like to achieve with this analysis that we will perform, that I have shown you, like the from the treatment delivered to the outcome achieved. Now, I'm giving a webinar. Yeah, I'll come back to your office. Okay, sorry. So if you look in the U.S. healthcare sector, so we spend over 5 trillion US dollar every year, so even more than 5 trillion US dollars, and that's around 17 to 80% of the GDP of the healthcare. And with this healthcare outcome analysis, we can better understand like which areas and which even disease, if we could focus on, and if we could use the IT, we can find a better way of interventions that can lower the cost in healthcare. And now, if I could show you that what's mean of this 17%. So 17% is twofold or even threefold the total values of these companies, from the Google to the Exxon to the Walmart to the Johnson and Johnson. So it's a huge amount of money that the US government and people like we spend in terms of our insurances every years. And so what we did, that our team actually took a data, a big blob, and analyzed that what could be the possible areas in which we could work on, and so that we can at least help the overall society in terms of lower cost, better care, and the patient satisfaction. And the first use case that I will show you that is lowering the cost, that how we are helping building systems that would lead to lower the cost in healthcare. So the first use case was a hospital readmission. Around 20% of US patients, they are readmitted within 30 days of discharge. For example, like if the patient they go just for, they have like the some problems in the stomach, and usually they notice that like the patient, when they go home, as like when they discharge, they come back like within 30 days, and that's the overall the counted, that is around 20% of the patients, and that costs around $17 billion, on which $20 billion go to potentially avoidable readmission. So our idea was that just to figure out that this $12 billion, that how we can build a system that could lead to help the decision makers to save these $12 billion, and so that they could later on reroute that money to lower our insurance cost, and maybe that would help for their and they can spend that money for the well-being of society, because these are the potentially avoidable money, and we definitely, with the help of IT, we can do that. The second thing that we noticed that after analyzing the data of the WHO and analyzing the CDC data, we found that the top 5 diseases that they have, like from the disease of heart to the cancer, the chronic lower respiratory disease. So these are diseases listed over here. This falls in the top 10 disease. So heart, cancer, chronic respiratory. So these diseases, they also have the margin in their care, so that we could develop some algorithms. And what sort of algorithms we could develop? We can develop the algorithms that could lead to a preventable deaths. And by the way, around 200K to 400K preventable deaths in the US every year. Okay, so can we zoom out a bit? It's not visible enough. I fixed the OBS. Okay, yes, looks good now. All right. Now, okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, with this, the $5 trillion. All right. So with this $5 trillion, which I just show you, now if you asked to the people, and there are several surveys are available on the website, on the CDC, and even the state level websites, where they ask to the people about their kind of their experience. So with this staggering healthcare cost, the people are not very happy. The people are not satisfied the care they get there, right? So if you go to a market, right, for example, just to buy the sugar, and you pay the money, but you are sugar or any product, right? So you don't get the value of your money. So I mean, definitely you wouldn't be satisfied. So the here, like, as the healthcare sector is very commercialized in the US, so now they are going towards kind of the value care system, where they based on the feedback of the patient, that how better they are feeling. So they are now they paying to the providers. Now, we looked at the role of information technology, that where we could use the information technology to help with the 2 use cases that I show you. One is, for the first use case was that the use of that how we can how minimize the preventable deaths. As second, that how we can minimize or reduce the readmission, or how we can help the overall insurance agencies and Medicare and Medicaid to better check on the readmission reduction process in the hospitals. And the role of information technology, we saw that the data that we have available, in abundance. The data in the healthcare, if you look there, we have the generic databases available. We have in the generic databases, we have even the databases like the DNA, protein sequences, like genomics databases. And then we have the research studies in the PubMeds available. We have complete patient portals, EHR, EMR, which can provide us the complete record. Government agencies databases, as I mentioned, the CDCs and other databases that we have access to the payer record. Now we use that for our personal tracking, the smartphones, wearable devices. So we have a lot of data is available in healthcare. And just to show you the magnitude of the data which is available in 2012, which was 153 zettabyte, now in 2023 at this time is more than 3,000 zettabyte. By the 1 billion zettabyte, 1 zettabyte is equal to 1 billion gigabyte of data. And But as a computer scientist, when we see this, the data is huge, and this data comes with opportunities and challenges. The Where are the challenges? Challenges is the big data is complex, and the big data comes with the four big challenges. The data which is available not even incomplete, or sometime is complete, but like the around 40 to 60% of data you have to work on that to make them complete. Sometime data incorrect, data is in silo, data is not interconnected in a way which is machine understandable and is redundant. Interoperability is a big issue, and these are the 5 or 6 V which you guys already know, like the velocity, value, variability, veracity, variety, and volume. These are the challenges with the with the healthcare data, and these are the challenges with overall the big data. Now, so here our lab is focusing on. Our lab basically developed the biomedical data science techniques. For example, like we are working on the explainable AI-based predictive models for clinical outcomes, and you can get details on of our lab here with the projects. The first use case that I mentioned, that I will show you that how we did that, the predicting 30 days all-cause hospital readmission reduction. So basically in this project, what we were looking for the role of alternate care. Again, they take the examples of the knee surgery, that if you have like the knee surgery, and instead of sending you home directly, like after 10 days, if I send you to an alternate care, just say cared like a nursing facility, or I sent you towards kind of the physiotherapy clinic. So that how would it helps in reducing the hospital readmission reduction? So that was the neglected part in the overall research with the 30 days hospital readmission. So that was our motive to get that. And just to share with you some stats, around 10.3% unplanned readmission in 30 days. We have noticed that 20% Medicare patient readmitted within 30 days of discharge, and this cost over $528 million. Even that the data was even old that time. We didn't get that the latest data. The figure would be different at this time probably, and that cost around $40 billion. And the peoples or several groups are working on that to work on the hospital readmission reduction. The part that which we focus on, the role of alternate care, that if we can include the alternate care within the discharge planning, then how it would affect that. And the other reason was that we were also wanted to see that the likelihood of the readmission considering discharge to alternate cares. We will also wanted to see the importance of discharge to alternate care. And then with this research, our ultimate goal is at this time still it's research in progress to see that how we can optimally plan the pathway, like the overall, for example, a calculator style. When you enter a patient information into that, it can tell to you or to the providers that instead of sending this patient home, you should send it to a cared skilled nursing facility. You should send it to hospices. You should send it to some long-term care hospital. So that was the overall goal in addition to just finding that how the discharge to alternate care facility helps. All right, now let me show you discharge, like how the discharge planning process works. So discharge planning process basically is a process which involves the transition of patients from one level of care to the next. What this mean? Like when we send a patient either to a home or to send to a skilled care nursing facility, we first has to do some screening. In the screening, we determine the appropriate post-hospital discharge destination. Then we evaluate the post-discharge need. For example, what's the patient requirement, whether the patient is able to do to feed himself or do the bathing, or is there any special requirement for the patient. And based on that, we plan the overall discharge. We write the summary, we write the complete discharge planning, and with that we consider all the patient diagnostics, labs, the physical conditions, and all along with the socio-economical factors of the patient. And we took the data from the home healthcare, hospices, long-term patient data. We also took the data about like the current admissions and care levels, such as the admission type, length of stay, diagnosis, drug code. We look at the data about the comorbidities, such as the drug severity, drug mortality, and we also look the data about the patient demographics, such as the gender, marital status, age, and ethnicity. So here is the distribution of the data. If you can see that, for that, we took the mimic database, and we extracted around this 13,000 patient data, and after filtering all the data, we eventually got the data that could fit on our criteria. That was around 6.7 k data, and afterwards we applied the machine learning algorithms on top of that. So we applied several machine learning algorithms, and basically we wanted to see the algorithms which could be highest predictive power. You cannot use the deep learning algorithms which we are all available, because like the data, it depends on, even sometimes you use the deep learning algorithms and you get the lowest score with that. So we actually tried the deep learning algorithms. Then we have to moved back to the classic machine learning algorithms, and we found that the even the machine learning algorithms, the classic machine learning algorithms such as the random forest, naive Bayes, logistic regressions, they are even performing better than the deep learning models that we have, because the data was not that huge. Yes, we are taking the data sets from the patients. Now, the results that we get, that's the results about the technical results. We got that through with the performance of the different algorithms. Overall, we found that the neural networks and logistic regression algorithms, they have the more predictive power. We got around 0.7 AUC with the neural network and 0.73 with the random forest. And with this, our experiments, which we did initial level experiment, it was clear that the alternate care has a definite role in predicting the 30 days readmission. And it definitely has it plays its role. The other result that we got, that's not the technical result, like that's kind of the findings about our hypothesis. It showed that based on the considering discharge location of the patient during discharge planning process, the providers can find decision support using these algorithms quite valuable. Now, such predictive models for the pathways transition, we feel that are very important for the insurance agencies, because, for example, how it works that when you're using a certain insurance and you go to a hospitals to get some care for surgery, they want the providers to be discharge you as soon as possible. But because they want to save money. But what happens, like if they discharge you too early, then you have to be, and the stat says that probably you have to go back to the hospitals, and again the process will start. So they are very keen to know that how we can minimize the cost, and the alternate care facility which certainly cost them lower than the hospital. So they are very interested that if we can explore this kind of the variable. And so our system that we have here at this time, we can input into the patient data into that, and it can give us the overall alternate care facility that could be optimal for a certain patient. Now the enhanced version of this paper that we were working on is just accepted, and I'm going next week to Lisbon. So we work on the NLP enhanced approach to test the comorbidity risk scoring based on the unstructured healthcare data for hospital readmission reduction. So basically now we are looking for the comorbidity factors that we have previously ignored in our research. And we are also doing the introducing a new index. There are also the index are available, but we are introducing a new basically risk calculation and comorbidity risk scoring index into our paper. So this is kind of the work in progress. And so the second project that I would like to share is basically that's part of that, how we can predict and how we can develop the algorithms that can help us in lowering the unwarranted, or you can say the preventable deaths. For that, we took the two cases. One, for the first case was the paralytic alias, and second cases was the trauma case. In the paralytic alias, basically, let me first tell you the reason that why the predicting the mortality is important. When we actually started the research, it was the COVID time, and people were actually very mentally disturbed, and they asked us several questions. People was not actually very happy when we shared our result first time. And when I presented this in a conference, the people, with the word of deaths, the people were very kind of annoyed that time, like why you guys are predicting the mortality rate. So I told them that the mortality risk, it help us to do a lot of things. For example, it help us in the resource planning. If we know that the patient is in a condition that even if we're using all possible latest interventions, the end result would not be so good, then that could be we could plan, our hospitals could plan better based on that. And it also help us to understand the severity of illness, and that could help us to allocate the resources, such as the doctors, such as the paramedic staffs. And we saw the actually real case, if you could remember the 3 years back, that when the vaccine was launched, that who will receive the vaccine, right? So that was the very ethical question, but that question appeared that time. And that the such algorithms definitely could help to understand the severity of the illness, and can help us in critical time for the better care. So our team for the trauma case, our team of the trauma surgeon, intensive care specialist, pathologist, computer scientist, we developed two algorithms. One was the FLAME, and the second algorithm was the Deep Flame, that we worked on that, and then we released that. The first algorithm, the FLAME, we applied on the paralytic alias. So the paralytic alias is basically the obstruction of your intestine, and it could be a several reasons. Maybe you have the electrolyte imbalance, maybe you have gastroenteritis, maybe you have the overuse of medication. It could be because of the if you have the previous history of abnormal surgery. And but the data says, the stat says, the mortality of the patient with the paralytic alias can be as high as 40%. And here they need the clinical decision support system that could help us in making the right decision at the right time, so that they could allocate the right resources for the better care of the patients. Now In the trauma case, if we looked at the trauma patient which admits to the critical care, and they have around the 10.7% mortality rate. And the overall, if you look for the nationwide stats, so we have around 76,000 deaths per year because of the trauma. And this was also another kind of the case where the clinical decision support system could help in better decision making. So for that we optimized our algorithms. We took the new data and we applied to the trauma patients. How we did that? We divided that into two phases. In the phase one, we took the data again from the Mimic database, and we the classic data cleaning process. And after when we get the data, then we applied some survival analysis techniques. For example, we applied for the Cox aggression, univariate, multivariate analysis. That could give us the overall the hazard ratio, and it could also help us to understand the confidence intervals and the p-values, the Kaplan-Meiers, the help us to understand the median survivals and the p-values. The overall, we actually merge both the algorithms. The Cox regression analysis that provides us the hazard ratio about potential risk factor, that we later on combined with the Kaplan-Meier, and that it help us to create an ordered list. So we at beginning we have the 22, you can say, the risk factor identified by the human doctors and also our scientists. After applying the algorithms, we got that, like, we reduced into the 15 more variable that we feel that are like they play a more vital role in this prediction. Why we did that? Basically, it improves the predictive capabilities and of the machine learning models, and it reduces the computing complexity of the overall model. So that was the main reason. And just to show the data, the glimpse, the data that we get, that we got the data like the demographic styles data, which include the age, hospital stay, ICU stay, we like the admission type, some the kind of the transfers, ethnicity, that kind of information we got that. And the clinicals lab data, we got the different sort of the clinical data. For example, we got the serum protein, we got the bleeding profile, we got the hematological data, the overall chemistry. We calculated, if you can see the univariate, multivariate. Later on I will share this slide and also the paper, so guys, you will have the more time to read on and think about these experiments. So these were the clinical data we applied. Then took the around 46,000 data of the patient, of the paralytic ALS patient, and for kind of the filtering, we took only the data the age of 18 years, applied the univariate, multivariate, and then machine learning model on top of that. And the data was it was not the balanced data. We applied kind of the different the techniques. For example, we applied the synthetic minority oversampling techniques for that. And here was the phase two. We took that, if you can see the PI data after training and testing, and then we have the prediction, either the risk of mortality and survival. Just to note that it's not we are calculating the mortality, just like it was the risk of mortality. It can give us the percentage, and that could definitely help us to the doctors, right? So based on that would that's why it's called clinical decision support system. It's not taking the decision based on the doctors. It's not replacing the doctors or kind of the providers in any way. It just help them. For example, when you have a low resource, people are very busy, tired, and the patient physician burnout is really at this time is a major challenge. So such kind of the algorithms help us to better understand and better take the better decision in the short time. And we, again, just like the previous project which I showed you, we did experiments to find the better algorithm that could produce the, the better results. And in this case, we found that a sport vector machine using RBF kernel showed the better performance with the PI data. And what the scores that we got, that's around 83.38% score, that the accuracy score. AUC score was that 0.810. And here are the you can see the graphics. Later on you can go over to the slides and look for that with the and compare with the data that we have. Now, what our experiment reveals, that we identified 3,000 trauma patients admitted to the trauma surgery, and we observed that the several clinical labs based on variables statistically significant, but the more significant the clinical things are the serum monin gap, sodium, and chloride, that we found that. And we perform the more deeper analysis based on that. And if you can see the clinical scoring algorithm that we have used there to calculate the values. So we have recorded the patient with serum chloride abnormality are the more risk of the mortality in trauma case. And so what these findings suggest, it tells us, suggests us we could suggest the effective modifications relating to the different types of disease. And also we have noticed that the overall the abnormality with the PT and PTT that have the association with the mortality and of the patient. Even we have noticed that the patient, if they have the comorbidity as a sepsis, that are more risk to mortality in the healthcare in the ICU setting. We also performed, the classic machine learning for the sensitivity, specificity, and the data. So we also compared the DFlame algorithms with others available algorithms, and our algorithms at that time, like a year and a half ago, performed better. I don't know the current stage, what at this time the research is. And we the AUC ROC that we got, that is around 0.912. So DFlame can, with that, the algorithms, we feel that the DFlame algorithm can be used as a potential clinical diagnostic marker for mortality during ICU stay, and it helps to the providers to address the need of the urgent care, and the ability of the resource for these individuals. So basically, it can boost the overall capacity of the decision making to the healthcare providers. But of course, to put these algorithms in practice, you first need the FDA approvals, that we're still working in that direction, but these are not at this time are currently deployed. So basically, it was a more of the research work to look for the overall the efficacy and overall kind of the feasibility of the algorithms. So as a summary, I would say the flame and DFlame can help doctors answer a number of clinical questions. For example, what sort of questions that they could ask? Should an operative procedures be undertaken for a patient or not? For example, in case of paralytic ALS, when the people they come with the abstraction, they should go or not, because, like, for example, if the patient is elderly, is likely to die during the admission, right, or during the process of the procedure. And in case the patient is very younger, even if the patient would survive, so what would be the afterward, can a life-saving procedure be done at this time? These are few questions, but there are several questions that could be addressed based on the system like they have. So more summary, the mortality predictions was that we have modeled. Basically, here are I'm sharing some limitations. We just took the data that the patient with the paralytic ileus and trauma patient within the first 24 hours of the stay of intensive care, and that's the data is considered to be important data. But that was one of the limitation as well. Our experiment result show at this time the proposed measure significantly reduced the complexity of the conventional learning models, because if you see that, like, we use the biostat techniques and we actually use the biostats plus machine learning models, the classic biostats techniques with machine learning model. But the benefit of this approach is that it significantly reduced the burden of and the complexity of the machine learning model, and that would ultimately leads to the output quality. The proposed framework, which we can say have the potential to be helpful for the internists and in clinical decision making. Also, family counseling, like how, for example, it could family counseling is an entire domain where if the doctor see that the patient is have the not some kind of the pleasant consequences, they can prepare earlier to tell to the family, like that would be the consequences. And also, this such kind of algorithm limit access the intervention, where sometimes we do for kind of the over procedure, under procedure. So that could be that the such kind of system could help with that. But of course, the flame and deflame are the research projects. More research required, more data required, and afterwards we would say that these systems are ready to be used on the bedside. It's at this time, I would say, like, more efforts are needed in this direction. With that, I will acknowledge our the teams of the doctors, mostly the University of Arizona, Yale University. One person was involved from the ComSat, and the other universities from the Brazil. And also my partners, like from our lab, the Fahad was there and Raza was there, and the Liaquat, he was also from Pakistan. So these were the team at this time. So now I will stop, and if you have any question, please let me know. You can type the question and I can go to the slide, and then we can discuss further. Thank you. Yes. So the question is that, did you encounter any data imbalance problems? Actually, the data, we have several problems. Not the data was imbalanced. The data was incomplete as well. So we use the algorithms, as I mentioned, that SMORT, these the very famous procedure, and we use the others data balancing techniques to balance our data, and that was a big challenge. But luckily, that time the data was, we somehow managed that. How did you choose the appropriate ML models? The For to choosing the ML models, basically, as I said, basically we performed the kind of, these are the model listed over here, if you can look at that. So we experiment that with different models. We applied deep learning techniques. We applied the classic machine learning techniques. We were just to want to see that what could fit best with our data, because like our variation in our data and the kind of the variables, we have around kind of 75 initially different types of the variables that we could see that are kind of very potential variables. But as I see, like using the the Kaplan-Meier analysis and other analysis, when we list down to the number of potential variables, then we apply to different types of the algorithm, and it was not we use a particular approach and just tested a few. We had to test for several algorithms, and here are the list results which I show you. Okay, so can your model be evaluated for a group of patients or like for individuals? Model. Okay, so that the both the models which I have shown, these are not ready. We feel that these are not ready enough or matured enough to be shared with the patients, right, at this time. But the in future, because like to use with the patient data, we need the FDA approval. We are in process, but this was the kind of, you can say, the work which was kind of neglected work, or the work which was kind of the pioneer work now at this time, that the work that we have did. That if you can search on these domains, you will see very few papers, and you will see our papers like one of the paper that set the direction, set the trend on that. But we are working on that, and we need more people. And if you guys are interested, you are welcome to join, and we can discuss that, how you guys can work on that. How did the specific techniques reduce the computing complexity? Well, it's lower down the variables, right? So let me go there particularly. Okay, so basically, if you can see the full risk factors list that we have with the 22 variables, and with the Cox aggression, univariant, multivariant, it basically give us the scoring, right? With the even with provide us scoring that these are then we have to set a threshold value that if we have the scoring kind of more than that, then we take that. Otherwise we will just ignore that for this moment. So just to make these things simple, we took the 15 variables. As luckily we involve, like the team has like the pathologists, people with the like the trauma surgeons. So we were very lucky that they help us in actually choosing and selecting the factors or the variables that are more kind of the needed that for the prediction. Now the question is that what was the issue with the deep learning techniques? Why did you not work? Because our data was not so huge. We had the data around like less than, ultimately like we started with the 47,000. The data was less than 10,000 patient, around 7,000, 8,000. So data was not enough, and when we applied that techniques, we were not getting the good results. We thought to generate the synthetic data, because at this time there are several synthetic data generators available, and but that was because of the time, like we couldn't manage that. Maybe in future, if we could combine the real data with the synthetic data of the patient, that would probably, with that we will able to use the deep learning algorithm, or maybe if we get access to the patient repository. So that was again is a long process. You have to guard the IRB approvals and stuff. So actually time was very short. So that was the main reason. All right. So how did the specific technique that's I addressed that. What was the issues? Can you model evaluated for a group of patients? No. Okay, so did you encounter any data imbalance? That's done. All right. Yeah, it's my player, Dr. Hamad. So I mean, sorry, I have to come earlier, but the traffic was very bad, and so I just and we have these are the two projects which I just have show you. We have the several others project, but later on, maybe when you guys have time, I can ask to my students, or probably I can present myself. Just to closing this session, I just want to announce that we are looking for the web developers. For we have our startup Medicaddy. We are looking for the web developers. We are working on the gastro system. We are working on the practice management system, and that's at this time the students from the Nest, they are working with me, and also the volunteer are working with me. So I'm looking for basically internees. So if you guys are interested, please send me a message. So the internees that we will take, that we are in the process of getting funding. As we get the funding, we will definitely, at this time that the internship will be not be paid, but definitely you will get the exposure, working and working on the kind of the real time product, and also working with the great minds, people. We have a excellent team here, and but later on, as we get some funds, but definitely I would like to pay you all from that. But if you are interested, send me CV. At this time we are looking for web developers with a PHP, MySQL, classic web developers with Ajax kind of experience. And for the machine learning, deep learning project, if you are working on NLP, natural language processing, current projects are working, we are working with natural language processing, and so we need 2 to 3 interns on that. And if you need any help from your for your master and PhD thesis, just also let me know. I create the YouTube content. If you can look there from the topic selections to the kind of the to the execution of the all experiment step, both in English and Urdu, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.